Good day. Welcome to the Pitso Podcast. My name is Tshwaraganyo Mmereki. This Pitso Podcast, we look at the issues from the past. Our slogan is going back to the future. We're going back to dig issues from the past so that the present generation will understand how things were in the past and how Botswana was shaped to be where she is today. Fortunately for us, as our first guest, we have Gabriel Seeletso. Mr. Seeletso is the founding secretary of the Independent Electoral Commission. He was popular during the COVID-19 pandemic, where he was Rabui Pelego, as Botswana called him, because he was responsible for the distribution of food parcels during the COVID, when we were all under lockdown. Pitso Podcast. We feel greatly honored to have you as our guest. We are going to just talk about your life, how you grew up, how Botswana was in the olden days, because that's how we'll understand how you were shaped to be a man that you became to be. Dumedisa Botswana ba re ipolella nna ke itshala gore TG Seeletso. Ano ba ipolella gore o tsholetse kae, o goletse kae, the schools you went to, how you grew up, how was the Protectorate, Botswana, and up to the present. Seeletso.
Mmereki, and thank you very much. I think this is an honor that you invited me to the Pitso Podcast.
Yes, Pitso Podcast.
Yes. My full names are Tiro, Ho Aletsa, Gabriel Seeletso. Yana ho tswa mo go rona gore le ithopetse le mo maineng a mantsi jaaka phiria. I was born in Madinare 74 years back yesterday. Let's say the house at this cake. And I grew up in that very, very humble village, which I respect and love. And I grew under the care of my grand uncle, Otempoeng. And he had taken my mother in as Ngwanaga Monnawe and her mother. So Naranala a very, very closed family. Ele gore ke gule ya ka ngwana mngolo mo a Motswana ke disa dikgomo ke gama dikgomo ke gore during our time in era ha a dikwele di bulwa would be driving cattle to Madinare tseretleng go tare bona mashi mo go tsona. I started school in 1960 and did my primary
1960.
Yes. Okay. Did my primary school in Madinare, in the two primary schools then. Then transferred to the St. Peter's Mission School, where I completed my standard 6. I then went to Swaneng Hill School, where the type of life that I led at home, Patrick van Rensburg espoused that. Okay. And I continued as if I was home. When I did my Form 1, I stayed with my other uncle, Seeletso. After Form 1, I moved to the school. And after Form 5, I came to the then University of Botswana, Lesotho, and Swaziland. Initially, I wanted to be a vet, but, as luck would have it, and I spent a year after part 1, UB, BA admin with a bit of accounting. And then I joined the Ministry of Local Government, Lands and Housing then. Okay. As an assistant district commissioner. I started Kumulepolole in 1979.
So I want us to go back a bit to Swaneng Hill School, education with production of Patrick van Rensburg.
Yes.
How was it like as a student? I know that students these days are given everything. From what I heard, is that the students at Swaneng were doing a lot of things for themselves, cooking, rearing cattle, so that they meet the cost of education pathway. So I just want you to share that experience with us. How was it like? Do you think that experience can help the present day Botswana education challenges?
I would certainly say yes to addressing the present Botswana challenges, because I mean we cannot all be, is it blue collar or white collar office workers. We have to produce some food, and even if we're in our offices, we still have to produce food for ourselves, because you can't go to the office with an empty stomach, and you can't send your kids to school with empty stomachs. So food must be there, and we don't have to be looking at government to assist us to do that. We have to take the initiative ourselves to produce the food. And a situation like that which prevailed at Swaneng during its formative years was very, very positive. I'll say it was a step in the right direction. And I wish all schools in the country then had followed Swaneng as example, rather than building blue collar, white collar type of, expectations from the students. Up to this day, I still roll up my sleeves and, do my manual work.
So that kind of education produced an all-rounded Botswana who's not shy from soiling their hands.
Indeed, Mmereki.
So now you've completed at the university, you are working.
Yes.
You said you started in Molepolole?
In Molepolole as an assistant district commissioner. I worked under the tutelage of Mr. Makwadi.
Mr. Makwadi.
For the first 6 months. Then I was left in the deep end of the pool because Makwadi was promoted to become an undersecretary in the ministry. And I stayed there for a year and a half without guidance. And, I learned a lot in that office, because the junior officers who were there were my mentors. And I got to appreciate that an office setting is like the human body. Mm-hmm. Never, ever look down upon the sole of your foot, because that's where the support is. That's what connects you to the ground. That's what assists you to be upright. If at all a thorn pierces the sole of your foot, you'll be on your knees, if not on your bum, and you might get in the wrong place. So, indeed, without your entry level, we forget that the sole of our feet, our ankles, our knees, and you have to work with them. So now I was taught but were clerical officers at the time. What each individual does. And, that's how, I was brought up more in the public service.
Well, for the sake of those who might not appreciate, like we say, we're going back to the past, the role and the importance of the office of the district commissioner. Officer Malaudi, sentse ena le mosola kana batho ba tsagela gore nya Malaudi ke e reng tautona ata a ba itse se ba eng a ke o ne tiro ya bolaodi kana office e sentse ena le mosola how e tshwantsha le nako ya lona le gompieno. Do you still think the office is relevant, and what is its relevance?
The office of the district commissioner then had a coordinating role in the local Malaudi. You might be junior to some of the officers. Let me say, the officer commanding in your district. But still, he knew that when it came to development. But we also have to remember that at that time, Molaudi also wore a second hat. He was a magistrate class 2.
Okay.
Some of my colleagues then, Baba Nambalin, the remotest part of the country, even tried cases. But we also reviewed cases from the Kgotla tsa rona tsa Setswana to ensure that they were in line with the law, particularly how of a criminal nature. Beyond what is prescribed in the warrant that was given to his Kgotla.
So to review cases,
Yes.
yes.
And Molaudi also said more counseling as a fully fledged counselor. I would equate Molaudi to the role that the Attorney General used to play in Parliament, so that you could guide the honorable members on government policies and the laws of the country, so that whatever decisions they made were in line with the laws and did not violate any law or any government policy that they were expected to support and to let the populace know about. The major roles of Molaudi. And when the top Molaudi was automatically returning officer. Kamela di top mo kgaolong ya gago. Le ha ile gore gongwe di-constituency di ka bodile 4 or 5 mo kgaolong ya gago, they will also fall under your supervision. Le ha gona le eleng gore at the end of the day, you'll be responsible for.
So you would say the office of the district commissioner prepared you for the roles that you took up in the future as you progressed in your career. When you from the areas you worked at and other positions that you held, because you want to focus on the last position that you held, the Independent Electoral Commission.
Yeah. Now, then I went to Hansi to be a district commissioner from, I think, 1981, 82, if I'm not mistaken, to 84. Then I transferred to Mochudi, still as district commissioner. Then I went for postgraduate studies at the University of Southern California, Los Angeles, for 16 months, graduating with an MPA, Master of Public Administration, with emphasis on policy analysis. So I then came back. When I came back, I was assigned to an even bigger and challenging district, which became my second home, Ibom Maung, where I spent 3.5 years. After those 3.5 years, I was transferred to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry then to be the Director of Wildlife and National Parks, where I served in that capacity for 2 years and then promoted to be Deputy Permanent Secretary responsible for wildlife and tourism. I didn't serve for long because immediately I was called upon to be the secretary to the Delimitation Commission, dividing the country into constituencies. And that was the time the country saw an upsurge in the number of constituencies during that delimitation exercise. And that brought me to work closely with the then supervisor of elections, little realizing that things will change and ultimately take the steering wheel of the election management processes. After that stint, I became clerk of the National Assembly.
When was that?
I really can't remember the dates, but it was around 1994 to 95.
So maybe before we go there, as a district commissioner in Gantsi and Maung, how was the infrastructure there and the roads, and how did you reach there? I've heard stories, and even so people had T-shirts that I survived Gantsi. So how was it like then?
It was a very, very, I would say, nice place because people were welcoming wherever you went. And I didn't see that much difference because when I started, there was no tarmac between Gaborone and Molepolole. So I was used to, the dust and the bumpy roads. And as you left Molepolole to go into the district, because we didn't have what we call sub-districts now. I was responsible for the whole of the Kwenin district, from Lepepe to Tamaga, from Mogoditshane, the fringes of Gaborone, to Tsetseng, and the like. And you can imagine how big that district was. So going to Gantsi was like, I was going on a trip that I was used to. It took me about 18 hours to reach Gantsi then, because we were just using tracks at the time. But the vehicles were robust. We were using a Chef K20, a 4x4, which was very comfortable. And one thing that I experienced was that you didn't have to take plates to that place because I think I had all my...
They crashed along the way.
They crashed along the way.
Yeah.
So the roads, the infrastructure really didn't bother me, particularly the roads. And I used to stand in for the district commissioner in Maung as a magistrate class 2 to record confessions from people who were arrested for purportedly illegal or serious illegal practices, and did the same for Zabong. So you can imagine, and there was no piece of tarmac between the two districts. But I enjoyed it. It was more like a challenge, probably because of my youthfulness at the time. Yes.
You said you then worked at the IEC. You are the founding secretary who established the IEC. Can you take us through how elections were run from 1965 until the Independent Electoral Commission? That process, so that those who might not know or those who are forgetting will know where we came from, the improvements, and then we are going to zero in on the IEC and how was it like when we established the office and set up the office?
Okay. If you allow, Mr. Mmereki, I think
Yes.
we will be leaving a gap in my
Your life.
story of life.
Okay.
Because there was then a very, very touching experience. After having been a district commissioner in Maung, loved by all and sundry, I had to go back this time around to go and coordinate the cattle land disease, CBPP, which ended up with all the livestock, eradicated, because there was no other solution to the problem as advised by the Ministry of Agriculture. So you can imagine being there as a district commissioner, and you come, probably, I would say, as a devil in the eyes of many. So who challenge tota abatho ba ke a go kgona gore ke dire le bone ke tsile go ba phatola dipelo. And surprisingly, Botswana will always be a surprising country, surprising nation, people with good hearts. Even with that, as long as you consulted them properly, they would accept that without any quarrel. So ke heletse ke dule ko.
So bolwetse jo buang ka jone jo ke ja makgwabo.
Ke jone ja makgwabo.
Ba tsosa kgaruru. So go ne go ntse yang se mo ne se ne ra o ta tsana mo motseng o no reng ke to How was the process? To just take us through so that we understand. Kutulu waka go phatola pelo, ora mina ba phatoga di pelo. Monna morui hela bona o tswala le saka gore na ba tsega jang, and then those experiences.
Yes. No, one would say, you were then an angel as a district commissioner, because people came, poured their hearts, and solutions. And this time you come in to destroy their well-being. But I think, should I, for lack of a better word, I'll say diplomacy, is something that a public officer must have in each and every office, and know how they'll be receptive. Despite this heartbreaking experience, they would welcome any developments that I came to share with them, as long as it was ahead of the serious action that the team was going to take. And they would even help us. And we didn't need a police escort to go to a meeting, because it was forever calm.
So you were able to contain the disease, and so we appreciate that, Raseli. You can move on. And,
moving fast forward. A stint Minister of Home Affairs as a Deputy Permanent Secretary responsible for prisons, umang, early immigration.
Sure, we're all over. Very well experienced.
I sometimes tell people that I was a rolling stone that gathered no moss. I get a little experience, but I tried what I did. After about 4 months of my arrival, who advertised your post here, secretary to the Independent Electoral Commission. That had been established by a law that was passed by Parliament.
Oh, the post was advertised.
The post was advertised.
You were not just given.
No.
Okay.
So I applied, and I got the post, where I served for almost 23 years. Yes. Here as the founding secretary. I did mention earlier that elections were run by the Office of the President, by the PSP was the supervisor of elections. And district commissioners, as representatives of the Office of the President via the Ministry of Local Government and Lands, that responsibility at district level fell on the shoulders of the district commissioner. We coordinated the elections there, and that exposure, was to ultimately bear fruits. Secretary to the Independent Electoral Commission, and having been secretary to the Delimitation Commission, gave me even a broader view of my responsibilities as the commissioner, the secretary to the commission. And I had worked closely during the time with Rem Mono, who I respect very much, and may his soul rest in peace, and his lieutenants, Borremo Kobio, Sansingale Botselong, who then became my deputy, Remauto and Radiseko. May their souls rest in peace. So when I was ushered into this uncharted waters, I said, but there is an experience to build on. Supervisor of elections. And we are using the same law. It was only that the offices were given different names. And Lehore, the secretary, then reported to a structure Independent Electoral Commission. So you didn't have to report to anybody else except the commission. And that's exactly what I did. But people normally look at the independence of the Electoral Commission.
Before we get into the independence, I want to appreciate the advert came out, you were employed, your first day in office. How was it like? Did you have an idea of the kind of animal that you had to establish? How were the concerns genuine, or did you see any difference in the way elections were run during the supervisor of elections and PSP, and when now you were at the Independent Electoral Commission? Is there any value addition of having an Independent Electoral Commission?
Yes, Sarah. But like I said, the law hadn't changed much. Yes. And the top is something that you have to run according to the book.
Yes.
I believe you have been there. We have been there together at some point, Mmereki. You can't really deviate from what the law requires. You have to follow the law to the letter. And that's exactly what we did. And, I said the experience that I had from my yesteryears in my public service journey assisted me, because it was merely revising the law that I used to apply, one as a district commissioner, and in the Ministry of Local Government as Deputy Permanent Secretary, I was also responsible for the local government elections as supervisor of local government elections, and were related very closely, the officer supervisor of elections. So the only thing that was new was that the umbilical cord between the office of the president and the supervisor of elections was really cut. And you didn't report to the office of the president, but to the Independent Electoral Commission. The office of the president, particularly the minister in that office, acted only as a conduit for the commission to reach Parliament, our National Assembly, either to present a report of how the elections were conducted and the outcome, to seek money to run the office, because in the arrangement of Parliament, is styled Gabriel Seeletso, irrespective of Parliament, that was the case. You then have to use somebody who is a member of Parliament. And in this case, the law provided that it be the minister responsible for presidential affairs, who then acted as a conduit to take our budgetary requirements to Parliament for them to scrutinize and approve accordingly.
You are at the IEC. I know the big issue there is independence. You touched a little bit on it, but most people don't understand the independence of IEC. Can you talk a little bit about it? Do you really think that the office is independent, and what should people look at to settle up office independent?
A good question indeed. Independence Electoral Commission is anchored on the secretary acting on the decisions of the commission and nobody else. So you are the foot soldier of the commission, and that's what I was. Commission. ke tisetsa commission dikgang tse di tswang mo bathong ba e leng gore ba ba emetse e bong the electorate and the interested parties tse di tshwanang political parties tse e leng gore we had to work with closely so that they appreciate how the commission works and indeed, if at all, that is in line with the law. Anything saying I would say it was a loophole in the law, but otherwise, the commissions that I served followed the law to the letter, and the decisions that they took, that they wanted me to execute, were certainly in line with the law. Independence commission, I would say, is anchored on the commission's decisions. And the relationship of the secretary with his masters, the commission. So you can't serve two masters. And that's how I was brought up. And indeed, how I cut my teeth in the public service. You have to be straight. And neri haele gore go ope o ka nna le keletso ya gore o ka ntharinya dilo di tshwanetse gore di dirwa jana le jana or ya go reporta ko officing ya gore I would spell no in capital letters you have to do that through the commission if at all go hanga high example go ka nna go go dira bo PMS and things like that. I was expected to report as a permanent secretary level officer to the PSP because that is the highest authority. And I would say, yes, I can only report to the PSP and be more, PSP or I can perform. If the chairman of the commission, his responsibility, supervise, otherwise, the commission is there. And what if the PSP says he's a star performer and the commission is saying no? And the law provides that, lack of performance, the secretary can be fired. But two opposing forces, then it becomes very, very difficult.
I hear you very well. I remember one time when the independence of the IEC was tested. It was during you remember that referendum that was postponed, and a commission was set up. I want you to come and share that experience. And the commissioner said, you are to blame. And I remember the commission stood behind you and said, no, our secretary is not to blame. So I think those are one of the incidences that I can think of that really showed that the commission, as you say, is the one that was responsible for running elections, and they were able to defend you. As they were defending you, they were defending their independence. Can you share a little bit on that experience of running that referendum? I'm asking this because, as you might have heard, we'll be reviewing our constitution, and one of the provisions that will be reviewed require a referendum. Maybe sharing your experience and can help us anticipate how to formulate questions, because that was the issue then, that the questions were not clear. So those experiences, can you share them with us as we go towards close?
Yeah. No, indeed. Something like that once happened.
Yes.
Yeah, but Mihaela, like the commission rightfully said, tota kana referendum.
Yes.
You work closely with the Office of the Attorney General because it is something that was passed in Parliament. And the way you frame the questions must indeed be in line with what Parliament resolved. Yes, so then we had worked closely with them. And the commission was aware of how we worked. But I think something that also put the spanner in the works was the actual date of the referendum. We had. And indeed, things in our office had every detail that showed communication somebody had slept in their job, because the dates are suggested by the commission. But because the law provides that letsatsi la gore dithopo di ka tshwarale or sepe se tsamayang dithopo se ka tshwarale. Is it a by-election? Is it general elections? Is it a referendum? But I'm glad I was exonerated from any blame by my commission.
Yes, when you retired from the IEC, I think you were engaged as a coordinator of the electronic voting machine. Can you share your experiences on that? Do you think using electronic means can modernize our voting, can quicken the process? Can you share experiences on that? How do you think we can leverage technology to run our elections? Is this something possible? Is it something that is doable? Or we just do the things the way we've been doing since 1965?
It's doable, Mmereki.
Yes.
Yes. Even at that time, yes. But it was doable even that time. The commission had looked at the proposal. Kana proposal ene simologile ile ko parlamente ya gore Namibia came late in the day, and they were ahead of Botswana with modernizing the management of elections by introducing the electronic voting machine. And we did all possible with the commission. We take all on board, including political parties, even taking them to Namibia and to India, the country whose machine we thought we could use, but customize to our needs at home. But I think for reasons known better by those in authority, I don't want to say somehow, somewhere, some people developed cold feet, but I would tell you that, in my view, that was one of the best developments in modernizing our elections that could have opened the doors to what even now, we might, I would say, think of introducing. We can't digitalize everything except elections. One, key integrity. Two, integrity can trust.
Yes.
And bring the players on board, sit around the table like we had tried to do at the time, and come up with a solution. Registry.
If I hear you well, you are saying technology has a big role to play in modernizing the elections. So I hear you say. The other role that you, which I mentioned at the beginning, was Botswana popularly called you Mabui, because when we were in trouble, you were sent to save us. So can you share that experience? How were Botswana like? That situation is almost similar to ya Lokwago.
Yeah.
Botswana. And then we are going to close Kaya Kobubirwa before we run out of time. Kobubirwa, you also engaged there in a commission as head of that commission to investigate cross-border cattle stealing or cattle rustling. So we can share also that experience, and then we come to a close.
No, thank you very much, Mmereki. No, yeah, harabi tota ne le nako ke rena re wetswe ke zero countrywide and like other countries. But Botswana government at the time decided gore tota o tshwanetse gore go nne le some mitigating measures gore batho ba se ka ba sokola go le kalo-kalo. And you know, I was given a team from the Ministry of Local Government and Lands to coordinate ba e leng gore bone bo rabui le bo mmabui you know, social workers tota ne e se hele gore re bona gore dijo di helela di a kae e ne e le one gore batho ba se dilo maikuto, two manage the resources tse neng di le available accordingly mo e leng gore e ka re ka moso ga nna le a report e thamaletseng go ya ko parlamenteng. It was a 6 months stint ne re leka ka bojotlhe jo bo kgonagalang gore be le gore from time to time we give our report to the cabinet gore tota re tsamaya ka tsela e ntseng jang. And I think I have those officers to thank ba tshwana le ba ko dithopong ka gore tota ga go ro ka re lo le nosi. No, you can't be in many places at the same time. But you know, they were very, very knowledgeable and very, very cooperative, you know, officers.
So, como biro, hagitura commissioner the public findings o putulukile go bua kana jang ka re ga ka kolokole le public ka ra hela le gore tiro a teng no e hile hagitura o bonyeng a go kana ke security issue ara tshwanela go bua hela
ra jaaka o tswa go bua kana ga o rupile go tsamaya go ntholela sengwe hale and report. You know, once you have done the report and handed it in, it doesn't it no longer belongs to you. It belongs to you na go kupile gore o tsamaye go mo direla tiro. So ke ena ka tanga a thothora kgetsi gore enki ntse jang le jang. But then ke emetse ha bothokong ha le ke le Motswana ke na ka re jame o ka re dingwe tse le gore commission ne di eleditse di a diragala because re ne ra bona tautona tsa mahatsha a mabedi di kopana ba ramapodisi ba mahatsha a mabedi ba kopana le gompieno ka re go ntse go tsweletse go nna le dithabololo tse di diragalang tse e leng gore gongwe e ne le bonthabongwe tsa dio tse re di bone kana ba biro ba di kupile mephato re bona e le gore ya supportiwa gompieno ba hiwa di uniform le dipalamo ka re diteng. So nka rela ka re nya tota ene le maiteko a e leng gore nna ne ra dirile yaanong ka re mme ditshwetso tsa teng di tsweletse ka go tokagadi.
Mme ra leboga. Drawing towards the close, you have a wealth of experience which we cannot share in the time that we had here. Any thoughts of writing a book about these things so that even after we are gone, those who come behind us can read these things and drink from your wealth of knowledge and experience? Do you have any ideas towards writing a book? Sa bo hello se ke tlo tsara ka sone gore banana ba re na kontso nna bo mmabui na ba o mana gore banna ba go le basadi ba go le ba re tsaela ditiro ya ne ke batla go tonka re gore banna ba go le basadi ba go la bana le mosola kana bana mosola ha ba toketse re ba le sehela ba o thola ba dikolo ga le bo mantsiane ba lwela meriti kana jang
me kana gore got the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And you know, I can't answer for them tota ke ka ba bonang ka teng but me hela se ke tsang gore you know, you don't have to be in an office to assist. Jaaka gompieno ha re la yana re share dilo ke gore akere nna tota la gompieno motho ka nna ntare ke ngwana o sa dire jalo but the time has come a re go digitalize ya dithopo ya go dirwe mo nkareng ke real time registration of voters e leng gore e ka re ha motho a re ke bata rolo e be le gore you press the button o bo mo inela rolo e batankie e ho you know la isi gongwe e certified ke ra ha ile gore le molao ka change these are the things you know will come over time and me gongwe e ka re ha ile gore gongwe bangwe ba na le pelela gore dilo tseo a tota ditaba di re siametse you can say you know a re lebelleng ko morago gore re ne re thopa ka konopo ra simolola dikonopo di dirwa ka mebala e ntseng jang di phungwa maroba di reng e le go leka go tokagatsa seemo sa go tsamaisa dithopo ra helela re tile mo di-ballot papereng di-ballot paper tsa rona pele ne le gore gongwe di ka printwa ko government printer and we decided gore over time gore let's go to batho ba e leng gore ba ka re printela ballot paper tsene gore e ka re ka moso ga re ya ko court e be e le gore wara no ya rona ballot paper e na le security features tse di ntseng jana le jana go itha le gore tota is even more secure than our pula note. So these are the things and that's why I can comfortably say there is still a way to go. Example, real-time voter registration, which can be done. Right, I guess. What I'm too sorry.
Miles Monrunetari, my vita humile, Rogaisa, le hats, but to win America, the Bucavasadiquala.
Yes, no, I entirely agree with Miles. Me, Halakonale, but while on her daughter. Habanabana Hatero, Swaneng more horror, but what's a mile by to Ansinjang to 74 taken a little one. Okaro share about Susan Jokas Hakulher, Hungasahal, it has been put into a record for Bana Barona to appreciate and to draw lessons from. Bobaka correct the mistakes. It's our own or Nerdi Regar. Tota Hona Sepeso Karing Motus Durankemoto as a perfect. There might be some loopholes here. They can aim at sealing such that the process is improved.
Mo a se go ja le thareke ra motho a le mo pension o ja tandabala o ja 1.4 me ke a bona re sentse le fresh ke ene TGL yo ke meeting wa bogologolo
ke gola na le masane mogolo o ntshwenya mo go maso a rota mpetsa ka lehelo ha ke saji so ya ne ke na ntshokela mbogobe le gore ke lebega jana ke lebaka la gagwe and I have to thank her.
Ya me o re mo lebogela gore ke a re ba dimo le Botswana a tsolle hela ra go tlhokomela go tella buka e tswa
ya o tla nthusa go kwala le wena o le mo teng
ke lebogile re sele.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Seeletso, for being our first guest in the Pitso Podcast. I want to thank you also, viewers, for tuning in to listen. Expect more from us. Look out for our next episode, which will come shortly. Thank you very much.